Welcome to Money with Jackson, where I teach you personal finance through real conversations with real people using their real financial scenarios. I'm your host, Jackson Larimer. Now for today's episode. Last week, where we had left off, we had talked about emergency funds, we talked about grad school, we got all that stuff squared away. And then we were talking about the car accident, and there was still some pending, we needed to find out if the car was totaled, yada, yada. Any updates on your end in terms of the car situation?
Yes, yeah. So that is all squared away at this point. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, but they basically told us on a Wednesday that it was totaled. And so the good news is, well, they gave us more money than I thought they would give us for it. So I think I told you I was thinking it would be between 8 and 10 grand. They ended up offering us 12 grand, which
Wow,
was
that's
awesome. So
substantially more.
yeah, I know. I didn't even push back. I know we talked about pushing back, but I'm like, I cannot find a comparable listing worth that much. So I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna even try to have that. I'm happy with the 12. So yeah, they were really chill about it, which was great. Um, but then they also, the rental car that they were paying for us to be in, they were only gonna pay for through the end of day Monday. So then we basically had to buy a new car that fast unless we wanted to pay for our own rental. So we did. We ended up, so they gave us 12 grand. We put in 4 grand of our own, and we got a 2015 Subaru Forester with
Nice.
91,000 miles on it. We paid a little bit extra for a nicer warranty. But yeah, so we're pretty happy with that. I mean, it was a little bit out of our savings, but not a ton. So we still have some extra wiggle room. It's a car that we feel like is going to last a while, and we're pretty happy with. So it's kind of a good middle ground. And yeah, so we're pretty happy with that.
That's awesome. Good. And I'm really glad to hear that you found something that was very affordable, but it also sounds like there's a good amount of life left in the vehicle. It's hopefully going to be a reliable car for you for at least several years, if not, 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, I'm
And
hoping we can squeeze 10 years out of it. We probably can. One thing that is, I will say, like, just to highlight the importance of having like a bit of an emergency fund, is so they offered us the 12K, which is great, but then we've had to jump through so many hoops to actually get that money. And so we ended up having to pay for the other car before we got the money from our old car. And like, we would not have been able to do that without some savings. So it is really nice. Yeah, so just a plug in there for anyone who's wondering if they should have an emergency fund. You should, because we would have been in big trouble if we did not have a little wiggle room.
thank you for that insight. It's very true. A little bit of flexibility goes a long way.
Yeah, it's nice. So we're still chasing down that money. We should be getting it pretty soon here, but yeah, it's nice. I mean, I'm definitely very excited to actually have it back, but it's nice that like we can still put food on the table in the in between.
Yeah, there was this old TV ad, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was for, like, I don't even know what it was for, but basically it was people leaning out of their windows and shouting, "It's my money and I need it now." And I don't know, for some reason, I always think of that ad, when I'm waiting for, like, a big insurance payout or something.
I haven't seen it, but that's funny. Yeah, I feel that.
All right, awesome. Let's move on. And what we have slated for today is we're going to be talking about what I call your financial ecosystem. This is basically just how do all of your financial accounts interact with each other, and how can we set you up for success in a way that it's going to be easy to manage, it's going to be automated, it's going to reinforce good financial habits, maybe add friction for poor financial habits, and really just be the foundation for the rest of the financial decisions you make.
Cool. Sounds awesome.
I put together a diagram that is my best guess of your current financial situation based on the information that you've shared with me. So let me share my screen. We'll take a look at this together and you can tell me what's wrong and what we need to move around. Right now, we're just trying to go with what it currently looks like, and then we'll talk about how to make adjustments.
Okay, sounds good.
I've organized it into 3 columns. So we've got investments on the left, anything related to cash in the center, and then expenses on the right here. You've got your paycheck and you're making automatic 401k contributions. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And then the rest of your money goes into your America First Credit Union checking account.
Yes.
Okay. And then you've got transfers that go into your money market account as well.
Yes. That one, I don't transfer a ton of money into the money market. Just a little bit of extra every month will go in there, but for the most part, a lot of just the month-to-month stuff is kind of cycling through.
You've got your CD as well that you're not actively contributing to, but it's also part of your cash picture.
Yes.
From your checking account, you're making contributions to your Roth IRA.
Yes.
Okay. And then do you use a credit card for your expenses or a debit card?
I usually use the debit card. We'll put like $100 a month on the credit card just for like credit reasons, but most of our expenses come out of the debit card.
All right. And then that's your personal spending and then also any like recurring bills, utilities, subscriptions, etc.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
All right. What did I miss? Anything that needs to be on here that we don't have? Any other accounts?
We put some money automatically into like an HSA, but it's nothing super significant, so I don't know how important that is to add. That would be like in the same bucket as the 401k where it comes out of the paycheck.
Okay, awesome. There we go. So now we've got everything. Anything else that's missing? So as we think about this, let's talk about the colors of the arrows here. What we want to do is we want to set up automated transfers, contributions, etc., for any financial habits that you're trying to reinforce. So, for example, if it's a priority for you right now to be contributing to your 401k and HSA, we want to make sure those are automated, which it sounds like they already are. We could talk about, how much you should be contributing to those as well. Anything that is, a manual transfer, maybe that's like more on the expenses side that we don't want a ton of stuff set up on, just automatic subscriptions that we forget about it. And before we know it, it's $400 a month going out the door for various types of services and software that we don't use very often. So that's the name of the game here. Think atomic habits. We're trying to reduce the friction for good habits and we're trying to increase the friction for bad habits. Following so far?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. So, as we think about this, your paycheck is probably going to be split into three main categories: your investments for the future, your cash savings for near term, and then just any recurring expenses that you have on a regular monthly basis. Do you and your wife, do you have any sort of financial goal for how much you want to be contributing towards your investments?
We've got what we're doing now. I don't know if that's really a goal. And then like ideally as I earn more, the first thing we'll do is consider like increasing our investments a little bit before moving on to other stuff. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely want enough, like as far as like 401k and Roth IRA go and everything to feel like we're super comfortable with being able to retire, with plenty of money.
Mm.
But we don't have like a hard number on it. Like we want to be contributing X amount by X date or anything.
Okay. So you know it's important, you're doing it, but you haven't put intentionality behind the exact numbers of how much you should be contributing.
Yeah, pretty much. Like just so you know the amounts. I don't know if I've told you how much before, but we're putting $200 a month into our Roth IRA. And then the 401k, I don't remember the exact dollar amounts. My employer does it and they like their match is kind of interesting. Where like they'll match 1-to-1 up to 3%, and then they'll match 50% for another 2%. And so what we've chosen to do is we just do the 3% right now. And so it's not technically maxing it out, but it's maxing out the 1-to-1.
So 3% to your 401k, $200 a month to your Roth IRA, and then $25 a month to your HSA.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to see if we can get some math behind your retirement numbers so that we can get a more concrete idea of how much you should be contributing to your investments to be on track financially. And obviously, this is going to be a rough estimate. You're 27, you've got tons of time. All sorts of life variables are going to change this. We're not even factoring in taxes or anything right now. We're just trying to get a rough back of the napkin estimate that we can get within the ballpark of how much you should be contributing to your investments. Let's just look at the 401k and the Roth IRA. What would be the balance for each of those?
The Roth IRA is currently at roughly $4,900.
Okay. And then let's add in the 401k as well. All right, 8,200. Okay, if I do some math here and I include the company match, it looks like you've got $350 a month going towards your 401k plan. And then we'll add in the $200 a month towards your Roth IRA. Can we just say 7% for the growth rate? Is that okay?
Yeah, they're all just kind of like, I mean, the 401k is in a mutual fund, but the Roth IRA is like strictly in like just the S&P 500 in one fund for that. So yeah, about seven's pretty solid.
We'll use 7, might actually be getting like 10%. We'll just say 7%, factoring in inflation there, so that when we look at the results here, it's going to be in today's dollars, and we've already made that inflation adjustment. All right, and then this is going to be a variable that influences it quite a bit here. How long the money is compounding for. Do you want to just use age 60, age 65?
Let's start with 60 and see how it looks.
Okay, 60 minus 27 would be 33 years, and then multiply that by 12. Okay, 396 months to contribute, compounding monthly, and we want to find out the future value. So, future value of $930,000. That would be in today's dollars. So, the rough back of the napkin calculation here is that you can withdraw 4% per year, and that will sustain you throughout retirement. That's what's called a safe withdrawal rate, meaning, okay, if I can spend 4% of my investment account every year and not run out of money, then now we can run a calculation to find out how much you need to retire comfortably based on your lifestyle. At just under $1 million, 4% of that would be $40,000 per year. So that would be pretty low.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it will quite cut it.
You do have to factor in, you might have Social Security as well. You might be investing more aggressively later on in your career. So there's some different factors. You might have a fully paid off house, so your housing costs are quite low. So you could make it work. Plenty of people do retire at this amount of money. But since we're young and we want to set you up for success, maybe we could get a little more aggressive here.
Hey, I'm curious, if you just threw that to 65, what would it look like?
Yeah, let's do it. That would be 1.4 million, and then 4% of that would be about 56,000 a year.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we're getting closer. Thinking about in today's dollars, how much would you want to spend in retirement that would provide a comfortable living for you?
I think I would want probably like 100,000, 150,000 maybe. I don't know. Is that crazy?
Yeah, let's go for 150. So if we want to find your, target retirement number, we can just take 150,000 and then we'll multiply that by 25 because that's the inverse of 4%. Sorry, I'm just going off of my cell phone. I should probably be doing this on the screen so people can see it. I'll have to remember that for next time. 150,000 times 25 equals $3,750,000. So we can work backwards here. We can say, okay, we want $3,750,000, and we'll keep age 65 as the goal here. We need to find out how much you have to be contributing on a monthly basis to get there, given your current investment balance and then what the future value is.
Okay.
That comes out to be $1,600 a month.
Okay. Well, that's a lot.
Yeah, kind of sobering, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I do intend to increase as I make more my contributions and such, and and I'm hopeful like over time, maybe do some other investments, if I'm able to buy a business or buy a house. So I've kind of always thought of like, I don't know if this is naive or not, but like the money I'm investing in retirement is the least amount of money I'll have for retirement. And if things go well otherwise, hopefully I'll have more. I don't know, but yeah, 1600 is a good bit. Definitely not something I could do now.
Based on your current situation where you're going to graduate school, hopefully that's going to increase your income in the future. I don't think you need to be contributing $1,600 a month towards retirement at the current moment. In fact, that might even be a financial hardship for you as you're trying to pay for a graduate program. That in itself is an investment into your future. So I share, we run the numbers together, not so that you feel stressed or so that you feel behind, but so that you can be aware of where the target should be. That way, when you come out of your graduate program and you're able to increase your income, you already have that in your mind, before you're like, let's go buy all these fun toys. It's like, oh yeah, let's make sure we're hitting that $1,600 a month number, and then we can go buy some fun toys.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a good way to put it.
So, with that in mind, I do want to extend an invitation here and we can talk about it together. How difficult would it be to increase your 401k contribution to 5% in order to capture the full company match?
Um, it probably wouldn't be too difficult. We could probably do it. I don't know exactly what that would look like for my paycheck. Maybe just like $100 less. So, yeah, probably nothing crazy. It would mean basically we're saving a little bit less because we're trying to put a little bit, and then when I end up starting grad school payments, it'll just mean pulling more from savings. But I think we could do it.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about your savings numbers on former calls. By the way, this is probably going to be a conversation you want to have with Megan and get her thoughts on it. Here's just some, off the cuff thoughts from me. You guys have a pretty healthy savings right now. We even ran the numbers with, buying another car, etc. You had shared that you had more than you realized in terms of what you could accomplish with that lump sum that you have saved. We mapped out a cash flow situation where you could, meet all of the payments for your graduate program and you would be okay funding some of that from your income and then some from your savings. Things are going to grow a lot more aggressively for you in investment accounts than in cash balances. Here's some things you could consider. First thing you could consider is just increasing that 401k contribution 5%. You get an immediate 50% return on your money for that extra 2% you're contributing with the company match at 50%. And try that out for a couple months. And if it's like, wow, this is overwhelming, then we could revisit and back off of that or, reassess. Something else you could consider is keeping more of a cash balance in your Roth IRA and almost using that as like a backup emergency fund, because in a Roth IRA, you can withdraw your contributions at any time.
Well, the more you know. That's crazy.
Yeah. So if that allows us to be maybe a little bit more aggressive with the retirement contributions so that you're capturing more of that match, and to compensate for that, you just keep a little bit more of a cash balance in the Roth IRA as a backup, then where that helps you is you can get the 2% match on the 401k that you're not taking advantage of right now. You can also get the Roth IRA contributions that there's a $7,000 limit and it expires, resets every year. So once a year has passed, you never have that opportunity to contribute to the account. Again, it's just gone until you fill up the next year. So we're still making those Roth IRA contributions, but you have the fallback and the safety net if you need it. And then once you're in a place where you're working your full-time job after grad school, things loosen up a little bit with the finances, you're able to beef up your cash savings again. Then you take that cash balance that was sitting in the Roth IRA and you go invest it more aggressively.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. That's really good to think about.
Sounds good. We talked about the investing today. We'll pick up next week talking about the cash savings and then the credit card strategy.
Okay, cool. That sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks, Braden.
Okay, sweet. Thanks, Jackson. Have a good one.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe to the show. Also, leave a 5-star review so other people can find the show too. Thanks so much and see you next week.
There's this podcast I listen to, and there's like the main host and then a co-host, and the co-host always gives him crap. he's like, whenever I mess up, you never edit it out, but whenever you mess up, you always edit it out. It's like, I'm not saying you're doing that to me, but I think it is a funny, like, just as someone who's done editing for podcasts, it's like there's a little bit of bias. They're like, I'm gonna make myself look good, but everyone else looks fine. They don't need the help.
Yeah.
It's so
It's like
funny.
when you take a family photo and then you get the photos back and mom looks amazing in the photo and you're like in the middle of sneezing
Yeah,
where she
exactly.
looks.
She only looked for her best photo and yeah, printed that out. Yeah.
What's your podcast?
It's a faith-based podcast, so I'm LDS. I think you are too, but
Yep.
it's what I do is I interview couples and I get the story of how they got together, and it's really fun. So it's called Looking Back: Journeys from Meeting to Marriage. Um, yeah, it's anywhere. I mean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get podcasts, you could find it. So you should look it up. But I did it with my mom actually, and we did a couple seasons like several years ago and took a break. But we're just getting ready to do a season 3. We're gonna launch a new season in like a month. So excited for that. So we've been recording and it's been a good time.
Well, I'll include that in the official recording for this episode and hopefully get you some viewers. People will go check it out.